Dear younger me, let me just start by saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't treat you better. I'm sorry for the way I allowed myself to think of you. I thought of you as unworthy of love and of appreciation. I didn't know that I was worthy. I didn't know I was born worthy. Little girl, don't be afraid to follow your dreams. And do not listen to everyone's opinion of you. They all have one. If you can see as far as the sky is, then you can do it. Little girl, don't be frightened by the things that seem so big. I promise you, when you get bigger, you'll realize how small they are. Teenage girl, don't be so sad all the time. You're just as amazing as the other girls. Those girls actually wish they were you. And they wish they were about 10% as creative as you. Teenage self, don't be afraid of your thoughts. They're big, but they're beautiful. And if you follow your dreams, you'll experience so much less pain. 20s girl and beyond, because we ain't going to face the 30s. Forgive yourself. Let it go. You had no idea what 20 was going to look like. Every day, stand in your truth. Speak up for yourself. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't be ashamed of your scars, because those are your lessons. And don't fall in love before you know who you are. Be sure of yourself before moving on, and moving on that far. All girl, your whole girl, know that your dream is alive. So keep fighting for it and keep moving toward it.
Hey, pretty girl. I know you don't think you're beautiful because you're bigger than all your friends. And you get told you're putting on too much weight. All you see is your crooked teeth, which you hate, and you get made fun of for being a smart, nerdy black girl. You think the only thing you have going for you is your voice and your long hair. Don't worry about it. All them girls making fun of you don't make it as far as you do in life. Mine gets his braces, thank God. And we cut off all our hair in a search for self-discovery multiple times. Boys will think you're cute, but there's more to life. Hey, beautiful. Going to North Carolina is the best decision for you. You meet some amazing people. You should definitely have done the 5-year master's program, but you'll get it eventually. It's a little different to be so far from home, but you'll make it out just fine. Your heart's going to get broken. I know you love, and you love hard, but it does. You may have got married a little too early, but you were moving the way you thought was best. Don't pull it apart, and don't beat yourself up. You survive. You almost don't. You learn how to walk on your own. You learn to sleep alone. You learn to pray, and you cry. But you make it. God gives us the most beautiful little boy. He lives. It looks like he won't, but he lives. And your faith grows with every milepost that he crosses. He will walk, he will talk, and give you random hugs and kisses to remind you of God's love. Give yourself space to grieve and heal and grow. There's so much you don't know about yourself. You only learn through this process. All advice ain't good advice. Keep your circle small, your head down, but look to where your help comes from. Girl, we finally get to a size 6. Lifting weights is fun. Okay? We go to the gym at 5 a.m. No, we're not on drugs. We do that on purpose. The job works out. You get to be the boss. The smallest boss they have. And you graduate from that program with honors. But above all else, be careful what you ask God for, because it rarely comes the way we think it will. Love you.
Oh wow, look at this sweet little girl with the big round eyes and chunky cheeks. Your mom wanted to name you Tonika. combination of your father's nickname and your older sibling's name. But of course, Daddy went on his rampage and married it is, and Mary it is. You will later find out why she allowed him to name you Mary, and it may bring you some sort of sadness, but you'll be okay. You're starting to say words, but never would you be able to articulate that Daddy did not have permission to take you into that crack house and Mommy is looking all over for you. This will happen often, and his argument will always remain the same. That's my baby girl. Well, happy 8th birthday, baby girl. Being the middle child has never afforded you to have the first of anything. Hand-me-downs or hand-me-ups, as Mommy would say, it would become your norm. But that's okay. You'll find your creative side and you'll spruce it all up and look just as nice as if you were it the first time. Mommy just couldn't afford birthday parties and such, so you'll later grow up to never really want to celebrate in that manner. But it's okay. You're starting to embrace life, what life has to offer you. The next few years were surely rough, as you now will have the first-hand accounts of abuse, rejection, abandonment, and loneliness. Quite sad, I know, but those nightmares, night after night, well, this is just the beginning of God showing you things. You will later develop and cultivate that gift. But right now, you're just crying and begging God, please take it away. It's your favorite holiday, Christmas. You run down the stairs with all of your siblings, and wow, how in the world could she afford to buy you all these gifts? And there is a Barbie's Dreams house, every girl's dream. Although you had to share it with your sister, it made it much fun. You know, those storylines that she would come up with her cousins were second to none. They didn't let you participate much, but you would definitely add marker for lipstick or wrap some fabric to create different types of dresses. And once again, playtime was halted by the sounds of arguing and fighting. Daddy was at it again. But this time around, you wasn't having it. And the discussions of how you all could fight back began. You will arm yourself with weapons, but you never used them. But I want you to know that it won't be until the day that he dies that you'll learn that this all had nothing to do with you. He was just fighting his inner demons and taking it out on you all. Quite sad, I know. As you grow older, this will haunt you, and the fear you have will combat with your faith in God. But don't worry, it seems so painful now, but it'll all strengthen you, and your testimony, it'll be second to none. You'll spend the next few years wondering why Mommy wouldn't just go away. You found comfort in food as that became your saving grace. You spent much time isolated, reading books and having snack after snack after snack. But what you loved doing the most was writing prayers and sermons, about how you felt. The day you walked into Mommy's room and seen the bed covered in blood was the one that would have frightened you the most. But you later found out that Daddy didn't do it. Mommy had stage 4 ovarian cancer, and the doctors had sentenced her to death. But of course, like the person you knew, she beat it. Tell the doctors that. But there was times when Mommy would just lay there in pain, and you would go in there and say prayers for her. Your gifts, once again, was being grown all over again. Look at you, growing such, quite chunky, but pretty as can be. You were definitely different from your peers, a little set aside, isolated, in such a way that only God would explain to you later. Definitely a late bloomer in many areas, not like your friends, but you're in the 7th grade now and join the choir. You will learn that this will be the best option for you, you couldn't sing much, but you met some great people and traveled to some wonderful places. And your 2 best friends was met that same day. Go ahead, tell them, don't be afraid. Stop hiding who you are. Let them know you're safe. High school for you was quite different than most. You was always bright and smart, and making good grades was nothing new to you. But you missed a lot of time. Well, like Mommy said, you allowed church to consume you. For sure, Fridays was a day off for you. You had to miss it so you could attend some services. And then, of course, Monday, you was not coming in either because Sunday afternoon service kept you out all night. But when you got to school, they would never know. You picked fights and cursed and caused the class to be in such an uproar with all your crazy ways. You had a point to prove, but it ate you up inside. For surely the life you was living was different from what you preached. Confidence in who you are was what you lacked the most. Well, perhaps you were learning your purpose and playing for God for your life. But you soon grew tired of the compliments and praise that you was just a pretty face. Self-esteem began to plummet as you knew you were considered the big girl or the plus size one. You went through high school with a few crushes, but the neighborhood boys were the one who stole your attention. At 19 years old is when you first experience life. And for the next 10 years is where you would experience the greatest highs and lows. From the time you first actually had a boyfriend break your heart, you knew the time you realized that competition didn't just come from women, but you had to compete with men too. You walked away from that situation with great dignity, but the Lord knew that this was only setting the tone for experiences you would have to go through. From love to love is where you went, not knowing these cycles would continue until you learned that you could not play God and rescue others from their past. But you did a good job at hiding all of this behind a mask, a smile, and kind words. 20-something now, and the day now becomes such a sting. Shh, don't cry. You are loved. You will be loved, and you will spend forever trying to understand. You cried out loud and prayed many nights because the doctors are saying that the one thing that you hope for, the one thing that you dream for, may not ever be a possibility. But trust me, God has you, and who knows, it may come to pass. He gave you some options, but it seemed like the likelihood would be zero. But this will only be something he says because you know that God has the final say. If only my future you could have this If only my future you could have this conversation with you now. I would scream it loud. It's already all right.
So yeah,
Welcome back.
welcome back. So you heard our letters to our younger selves, and I mean, I'm sure it got a little deeper. Everybody might not know all the stories that you heard about us. Over the past couple weeks, we've been talking about ourselves. We introduced ourselves. We told you about speaking up and speaking out. The grandmas that helped make us.
They shaped us.
But there's just a lot that, as individuals we go through as women, and our stories can look so different. But it's weird that we all get to a same place. Like even the three of us being in the same room. Just how our paths have allowed us to cross at this point. But the as rough as your upbringing was, as difficult, just all the things you went through, just recognize it makes you who you are today. Some of that's good, some of that's bad.
Absolutely.
But it does form you. And I think all three of us said a lot about how it helped us to be, show God in a different light and where we are today. Yeah. So we want to start talking to what kind of advice would we give to preteen, teenage
little girl?
One of the things that I always say, and people think I'm like being like super deep or super silly, but somebody had asked the question one time, and I was just like, and they were like, so if you could do it all over again, like what would you do different or what? And I always would say absolutely nothing, because I truly believe that everything or most things that I went through wasn't for me. It was for somebody else. It was to help somebody else. It's to be able to, help somebody else going through what they go through that is similar to what you went through. And so if I could do my life all over again, it'll be exactly the same way. Yeah. I'll cry the same tears. I'll have the same heartbreaks. I might add a couple more fights in there, but that's okay.
Oh, God, deliver us.
But yeah, it will be the same, because I just believe that all of that was God's purpose and plan to align me to where I am now, right? Preaching? Because I'm so much stronger, so much better. Don't do that.
I think somebody asked me, a friend asked me, like, what do you say to like the 11, 12-year-old girl just hitting puberty? And I was
Girl.
like, any boy that touch you that you don't want them touching,
Right.
punch him in the face.
Knock 'em out.
I said, nobody is in charge of your body but you. And
That is powerful.
It's power and it's important because, like, we live in a culture like everybody's like, oh, Me Too movement, blah blah. It's like, no, don't touch me.
Don't.
I don't want you. You own this. This is you.
Sorry.
Even your parents don't own, like, this is you. If somebody is touching you, if somebody doing something to you don't want done, and y'all, I'm like, no. Especially if it's a boy, I'm like, punch them in the face. I don't care because usually
save your own life.
Save your own life.
Because those moments change who you become.
It does.
It doesn't. People think, you see these children who have these behavior changes, and you think that they just have the behavior changes. It's not just a behavior change. Something happened that they didn't feel like they were in a safe enough space to share it with you. So they in turn internalized it and told themselves that they were the person that they were becoming, and they rolled that out into that self-belief until they lived a life of hell or whatever else came behind that, until they got here.
And one of the things I say, like, we should now become the people that will actually hear and listen to the young people.
The ones we needed.
They are really crying out for help.
And
they're looking to us for talking. And, as we grew up, we didn't have that person. And if you were like me, I internalized everything. I kept everything to myself. I dealt with everything inwardly, right?
Yep.
And so that created destructive patterns in my life where I self-destructed myself trying to. So, like,
yeah, no, you're totally right. And there's the safe spaces. Safe spaces mean different things to different people. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say something that most Black moms are gonna disagree with. If your child keeps a journal, don't read their journal. That's one of their safe spaces.
So.
And you remove that when you not only read them, because I know Black moms like to read your journal and confront you about it, and it again forces this internal right. But this continues to enforce this internalization. I know people who are going to look at this and say, I'm reading this child journal, I need to know what's going on with such. But you should create a space where your child is comfortable enough
that they can tell you.
The one thing I will say, as a mom of sons, is different. Boy, mom. It's different because I'm a girl, so of course it should be easy to relate to the girls. But I was also raised Pack of Wolves. My brothers, my 4 siblings, Paris, David, Lawrence, Greg. I love y'all. They my wolves. They got my back.
They are like a pack.
And they are a Pack of Wolves. They want to agree. I know you will. So I know you won't be offended.
As the adopted baby sister, let somebody do something to me.
Pack of Wolves.
Rabid Pack of Wolves. People was gonna die that night. It's people whose lives are spared because we just didn't even tell them what was going on.
That's another story.
That's another.
Anywho, here's the reality. I'm a mom of boys, and I love my boys to death. But I'll tell you, I had a conversation with them one day, asking them, what kind of woman you like. I was like big butt, big boobs. Like, tell me what you like. And I was just that serious and that plain about it because I wanted to know 2 things. Were they really comfortable enough to say to their mom what they really like or what they look at or what they talking about? Or I wanted to see if they was going to shy back. I really thank God that they really was like, Mom, I like a woman that's built like this. I like a woman that's built like that. Some of them like big butts. Some of them like boobs. Some of them like skinny girls. The majority like big girls. I'm like, come on to my side. I didn't raise my boys right. I'm sorry. But what I'm simply saying is, no, we're not scratching that. I mean, I raised my boys right. Love on us.
All right.
Anywho, what I'm saying is, my kids felt comfortable saying to me, as their mother, which is like really not normal for a boy to really talk to their mom, I felt comforted in the fact that my boys felt like they could talk to me. I'm a big deal about trying to figure out, like, hey, what you thinking? Like, I probably get on my son's nerves when I'm like, no, tell me what that means. Like, what do you mean? What you thinking? I'm not judging you. I just want to know. But I want them to know they can say anything to me, and it's not going to take me to a place of uncomfortability.
We didn't have that, and we didn't. There was so much loss in the questions you wanted to ask and you end up getting the answer from the wrong person
Yeah.
because the open dialogue was there, or you knew if you asked that question,
You was
you were
going to
going
be
to get in
judged.
trouble or be judged.
Troubled or judged.
And it's like, we need to figure out how to create that safe space,
And see,
especially for our girls.
Unlike
Yes.
these two, I don't have kids, right? But I find myself to be the one that other people's kids come to confide in.
I
But
was
you need
that
that
person.
person.
And I was just like,
I was
oh,
that
wait,
person.
did you talk to your mom? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, Lord, give me what to say, because I ain't been through this here with nobody.
Yeah.
But to be able to be that person, to be able to, you know what I mean, help see them through, is just like, wow, like, you trust me with this or whatever. And, you know, there was some situations where I had to involve the parent. You know, like, I'm going to let you know, but you're not going to approach them about it. We're going to come up with a plan together. And
Tell me what to say to you. Tell me
but,
what to say to your child.
Some things I just felt like, you know, you might want to know this.
Yeah.
Oh, I just want my younger self. She should have drank more water. I'm gonna just put that out
Well,
there.
see, yeah, because if you would have started then, you would like it now.
We be fine then.
You know, but
yeah.
you have such a hard time now because you didn't do it then.
Take care of yourself. Like,
stay out of that.
So as we move like preteen, first of all, in all those especially those young girls, like, you start to have those body image issues.
Yeah.
Girl, you beautiful, girl.
You is wonderful.
You are beautiful.
You're beautiful.
Listen, if you look in one mirror and you don't see it, grab another one, because I promise you it's
Listen, let me tell you something. There is not a person in this world that can speak to or tell you that you are not as gorgeous as you are. God made only one of you because he did not need a carbon copy. And when he made you perfect. He made you wonderful. He made you beautiful. He made you worthy. He made you loved. He took his fine time before the beginning of our time to decide and to create every little piece of you.
And you're beautiful.
Child, you are beautiful. I'm here to told you.
Yes.
You was cute. And if they don't like it, it's fine. There's a whole crowd who do. Trust.
But you gotta love it.
But you have to love it first. Bam. That's it. You got to love yourself.
I talked in my letter about, I was always called the nerd. I was always
That's fine.
The black girl that was like at one of the top of the class. My friend Amber watches. Hey Amber, it was me and Amber. Me and Amber were the only two little black girls in all these different advanced classes. We had the same exact birthday, and that's my birthday twin.
Amber's just a sweetie pie. Hey boo. She is. She really is.
Hey Amber. So, you know, we had but I got made fun of, and Scylla's niece, who was coming and talking to me about that. Me and her had a whole conversation breakdown. I said, boo, let me tell you something. I said, your Auntie T had the same problem. I said, people made fun of me. I said, because they was like, oh, you talking white, you doing this, you doing that. I said, you know where I see them? Working minimum wage jobs. And you know where I am? In my work truck with machines on driving by. I said, because at the end of the day, I said, being smart and all those different things, I said, it seems like it's your whole world right now, because it kind of is.
Because of where you are.
But when you look back, it's such a short period in your life. Like, I think I finally got to the point where I was like, oh snap, I've been out of school longer than I was ever in school. The whole 12 years, like when I hit 30, it was like, oh snap, I've been out of school longer than I ever, all them 12 years, that's already more than half my life gone when you really look back on it. So, it's going to be all right. But yeah, so now we're starting to move towards like late teens, early 20s. So I'm saying drink your water. Take care of yourself. Take care of your body.
Clean your skin. Clean your skin. Listen.
Wash your makeup brushes.
Wash your makeup brushes. Clean your makeup brushes.
Wash your makeup brushes.
And clean your skin.
Look at Mary's face. I don't know if she fully agrees with that.
Clean your skin. Some people, you know, do whatever floss. Take care of your teeth. Everything that seems minor, then that you're running fast to try to catch up to, slow down and do your self-care.
You running fast trying to catch up to.
Baby, you're going too fast.
We don't own the rights to that. We can't afford it. India, we love you though.
We love you.
Go listen.
That's Mary's cousin.
That's Mary.
That's my sister.
That's her sister. All right.
Hey, girl, she was there.
India, there is no one above
She's
you.
A black girl, major. She writes a good song.
She is a black girl.
Listen to that song. We don't own the rights to it, but find that song.
Go find it.
Because it's what real. We're saying in this whole episode, but in a song. So.
All right, listen. Go ahead, Mary.
What am I saying?
I
So
don't know.
what are you saying to your
So
19?
yeah,
like
we
late
spoke to
teens, early 20s?
ourselves in different facets in different ways. Me, I told y'all from episode number 1. I'm open. I'm transparent. I'm just all of that, right? So I may have gotten a little into some things, but there is nothing that I shared in the letter that I haven't spoke on before or made known. But the reason why I went that way, because that was truly younger me, and that was just a little snippet of some of the things I had to go through when I was younger. But I have learned. I've learned. It took a lot of learning to know that was just the cards that I was dealt, and it was up to me to play the best hand.
And give yourself exactly what you said. Give yourself grace. As you're going through. So when you get to be, you're coming out of the hurt.
I'm 30 something, right?
You need some more grace.
Erica said we need a little more Jesus. I fully agree, but we need consistent grace. Like right. God's grace is sufficient for us every day.
Every day.
But you gotta be renewed. But God gives us the grace, and we don't give the grace to ourselves, and that's the piece that I'm saying, because all right, so you heard everybody's letters, and it's like you went through those things when you were younger. So now you're getting into late teens, early 20s, you might start to step out on your own, live by yourself, such and such, and you're starting to figure out, who am I when I don't have rules I gotta abide by? Who am I when I gotta manage my own time, money, my future, all those different things, and you're building that. Usually you start kind of trying to just fill that out in your early 20s. You're going to change your hair. It's fine. Or you ain't just not have hair.
And then you love not having it.
It's so easy.
You ain't got that. You'll understand when you get here.
By and by. But what you got to give yourself more grace on is, and I kind of said in my letter, it's like you make the best decisions that you can with the information you have and present it. And a lot of us look back and it's like, why did I make that decision? Why did I do this to myself? Why did I get myself here?
If you were anything like me, in my late teens to early 20s, a lot was happening in that time in my life. I'm sitting here thinking about it. In my late teens to early 20s, I was in hair school, and I believe it was the day I was graduating hair school, I got the call that my mom passed out on her way to work, and they rushed her to the hospital to have emergency heart surgery. So at 19, 20, I was 20. At that time, in my mind, people go to hair school because they want to open a beauty salon and all of that. That wasn't my dream. My dream was to travel and do hair for people like in LA and New York and Atlanta, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to travel and do hair and makeup and all of that. But on that day, I feel like part of a woman was born that day, because after graduation, I was being offered opportunities in LA and New York to go do what I was doing, because I was one of the one of the great ones in my class, to be honest. And that day when they said, no, your mom, she has to have heart surgery, I was like, I can't take these opportunities. And I let all of those opportunities pass because I made the choice to take care of my mom. And my mom, she's watching today, thank the Lord. I sat there with my mom. I took care of every scar. I was her wound care nurse. I was her cook, her chef. I bathed my mom. I cleaned my mom. I took her to every appointment. I taught my mom how to walk again. I was there for my mother. But if I go back, like Mary said earlier, when you go back and you look at the decisions that you made, I wouldn't change a thing. I mean, I feel like if I would have chose to leave my mom in that state, like, what kind of person would I have been? And to this very day, my mother took ill last year, and I spent the whole year taking care of my mom.
No regrets.
Man, I swear to goodness and God, I have not one regret. I will always take care of my mother. There will never be a question, a choice, a thought process of what I'm going to do. If something is wrong with my mom, you better know I'm her only girl and I'm going to be on it. So I don't regret not one decision about that, because doing those things and spending those times with her made me into the person that I am. My mother was a person who, she'll tell you in a minute, I was a virgin when I met my husband, and that was the only man I ever been with. And I was raised by that woman, so she ain't play about me running around being fast tail, men to men jumping, all of that. I don't know nothing about that because my mama wasn't fitting to have it, and she checked me in a minute if it looked like something that wasn't nothing.
We need to have a How My Mama Raised Me episode.
That's what we're gonna do. I'm a pause right there
I'll find someone to stamp it.
No, she not, because we need them stories.
But all right, so let's move to
I ain't gonna be able to do
the mid to late
20s. Oh, Lord Jesus.
So that's kind of the end. We got a couple more minutes. Man.
20s.
Mid to late 20s. So I got married. I'm not married anymore, but I think I learned a lot about me in my mid to late 20s. I had my son I got pregnant at 27. I had my son at 28. And it was just like a scary time, but
you were 27 because I was 27.
I know we do everything the same. I know we do everything the same, separate but the same.
Right.
And we were pregnant at the same time with our boys.
True.
But
you were.
It was a stressful time in my life. Like 25 to pull it together, y'all. 25 to 29 tried to kill me. It really did. Like stress wise. I had so many changes that were going on in my life, like major life changes, including I had a job change. I bought a house, my first house. Like I said, I got pregnant with my son. My son was a high risk pregnancy. My son, when I was pushing him out, he flatlined when I was pushing him, and like he didn't cry. And I thought that I was going to leave the hospital without my son. And God bless those. We have friends who have been through that. Mm-hmm. And God bless y'all for that. And just all those different things. And then, now I'm having marriage issues and I'm going through a divorce and I'm a child of parents who've been married forever and grandparents who've been married forever. And I'm like, different. I don't understand how divorce works because that's not a thing in my family. And it's just like, I'm going through all these different stresses and still be my witness and right. I said, Lord, I was like, so I can't. I just can't. And she's like, yes, you can. I said, no. And I would call her, at work, just like, I couldn't take breaths. I couldn't breathe. And it taught me how strong I was. It taught me I could do stuff on my own because I had been in that relationship. And I have nothing ill to say about my former spouse. He's great. But it just didn't work. And it was like, I had been in that relationship since I was 18 years old. I went to college, and within a week, we had started dating, and we had been together that whole time. So I hadn't had to step out on my own. I really never been by myself to make decisions by myself without the consideration of another person besides now my little person. It taught me so much about that, about how to have faith in God, how to listen, because it got to the point, everything I said to me was negative, and Sil and some of my other cousins and family was like, you have to stop listening to you because the heart is deceitful above all things.
You're not a safe
You have to listen.
You're
not. You really aren't. And I had to listen to God's voice. And when I really learned to listen to God's voice, he was like, listen. He was like, this is going to happen to you. He told me the bad stuff that was going to happen to me. And pretty much when it was going to happen. And I told her that. I told her before it was going to happen. I said, God said this is going to happen, this is going to happen. So when it happened, she was like, well, you already said God told you that was going to happen.
He will prepare you.
Yeah, and he prepared me. Even though it still hurt when it came, I knew it was coming. But at the same time, he told me that you're going to be whole at the end of it. And even though that's still sometimes, and I can't say I'm at the end of it, but even though that was still sometimes hard to believe, that became true as well. So that's like, for me, my late 20s, I learned, my faith in God. I learned, being a mommy. I learned baby kisses are the best. Oh my God,
they are. Because they're so genuine.
They're so genuine and sweet. I don't care if they slobber in your face. It's so sweet. Baby kisses are the best. But how to have faith, not just for me, but for my son. To be strong when other people are going through around me, because not only were people holding me up, and that was weird for me, because I'm very independent. I don't really like to have to depend. I depend on Scylla, but like nobody else. So when I had to depend on other people for emotional support, when I'm telling you it was days I just could not breathe. That was such a real feeling. Days I felt uncovered. And, not having a close relationship, I had to call back to, like, seriously.
And so, I mean, at the end of the day,
We needed that
You're
support.
going to go through things in life. We're going to go through tests. We're going to go through trials. But, just realizing that we are more than overcomers. And so, till next week.
This is me.
Write a letter to yourself.
Write a letter to yourself.
Write
That's
a
your
letter
charge
to
for me.
yourself.
And be real in that letter.
Be real,
listen,
be transparent, be open,
be
and
honest. Be honest. Listen, I hold my journal like it goes everywhere with me. Like I said, this one is like a prayer journal because you never know when you're gonna need to say something to yourself or to the Lord. But be honest with yourself. This conversation is gonna continue.
Yourself. We're gonna continue.
It's gonna continue.
Facebook Live.
We told you this was gonna be a tough one.
So tune in.
Meet us in a couple minutes. We're gonna finish and tell us what you would say to your younger self. Yep. It might help somebody else that's watching.
If you have questions for us, stick it there.
This has been another episode of Coffee,
Cornbread,